Tuesday, and you know what that means. Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. I started this new playlist and series because I have more time to research, and it also gives me better awareness of what's important to the community. If you missed the past ones, Community Concerns, as I said before, is a playlist, and you can start it and let it play, much like a podcast when you're stuck in traffic or doing something else. Consider bookmarking it and checking in every once in a while to get caught up to date with what the community is talking about. And if you find it fun, please do me a favor and share it with a friend or orgmate. Let others know because I feel it offers something that other content creators aren't offering. Today is the 25th of January, 2022. I try to do these on Tuesdays, and I try to choose threads that are well presented and have a good banter back and forth. It's up to you to comment your comments here in the comments to let me know how I can tweak this new segment. Let's begin. Today there were some really good topics that steer clear of the pure salt with quality questions and answers. We got to see the quad bike this week on the PTU. You know, that one that was a picture of a handle and then a picture at the end of 12 days of Luminaria. There were a bunch of videos from other content creators, and I hope you don't mind me waiting for something a little bit more interesting to talk about before making content on it. It's basically CIG's next LTI token, a jet ski. Dante posted that they felt that CIG should present this to the new backers for free as a reward. To use their words, wasting 2 days of an advent calendar that should have been chocolate with a picture of part of something, and then later as the grand finale, a picture of the something that we couldn't have. Now, this does echo what I suggested during my overview of the Luminaria celebration, which was my post-mortem. With no weapons, shields, or cargo, its only real advantage is speed. Many suggested that its stats might make it the least expensive concept to date, with some suggesting that it shouldn't be much more than $20. I don't see CIG selling it for that low because they like money, and I also can't see them just giving it away for free as a backer reward for the 400 million milestone or the holiday milestone because, as I said, they like money. What I do know is that despite people posting that they should vote with their wallets, if CIG sells the speeder quad on concept for LTI $20 war bond and $30 credit, they will sell hundreds of thousands of them, as the whales and new backers alike will gobble them up like little fishies to be used as LTI tokens. I will say that there's now no excuse for any single ship owned by anyone to not have lifetime insurance, except for perhaps some of those rare cases of people, for example, having an 890 jump anniversary or some others such as an Emerald Phoenix anniversary. It makes me very happy, and I've been waiting for a very long time for them to finally announce that LTI is futile and that any ship ever sold with money or credit should just have LTI. Super easy and not as confusing as what we currently have. Some suggested that this would be the craft of choice next year for the Daymar Rally, and I believe that it'll be so quick that it might create its own racing league. Anyways, I have the rundown for this year's Daymar Rally posted up, and I want you to comment in the comments. Will you buy the hoverbike as a token, or perhaps buy many of them to stockpile? Will you buy just one, or just buy it in game? Do you plan to stop spending money on ships? Next, Bree posted that if you're waiting for the game to release before actually playing the game, that Star Citizen may not be the game for you. Their point was that they personally do play all the time, and they were sad to hear that some don't and don't enjoy it while it's being built. It's unlikely that what was pitched so long ago will be exactly what we're getting as the mechanics are dialed in and balance is done. We already know that the massive server idea won't work exactly as pitched, and this will have an effect on the way things like bounty and piracy might work. They continued that if what is currently being built isn't interesting now, that the rest of it moving forward will probably be similar enough to be the same, not interesting. More polish of what's already there means that Star Citizen may never live up to your expectations, and hence the title. They do expect accountability in the progress from the company, but they did say that they don't personally care anymore how long it's taking because they feel that they've personally already gotten great value out of their pledge prices. Robert commented that the OP statement was pure nonsense, and they personally feel that constant progress needs to be clearly visible. They went on to say that the alpha is still pretty broken and unfinished almost 10 years in, and they don't agree that there's this binary thing where you should either be expected to play now or accept that you never will want to. They confirmed that they're waiting for the full release of Squadron 42 and the PU, and that they love Star Citizen, and they still believe that CIG will deliver. The conversation got a little bit heated here and there, with some saying that the OP is right, that the backers should be playing each patch, and others fully believing that it's just something that they're willing to never touch until the game is fully ready. Alistar Winter came up with a great post that did a great job of summarizing why the issue is larger than the original post. They said that they were pitched a dinner back in 2013 and placed an order for a Coke, a hamburger, fries, and an apple pie. The waiter came back with a Coke and said, "Here's your Coke, enjoy your dinner." Their point was to the OP, just because you may not be happy with 1/4 of your meal doesn't mean that we should stop waiting for the rest of the meal that was ordered. The thread was fun, a little bit heated, but mostly civilized, providing a fun insight into how other backers approach the wait. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Are you currently playing the game, or are you waiting for it to release before investing more time in playing it? Comment your comments in the comments. Next, the E-Paladin asked a question about how much of a time sink other backers are expecting for Star Citizen to be when released. They highlighted some recent changes with cargo, inventory, and refining. They're expecting, as more manual processes are added, for it to take even longer, as physically waiting for missiles to reload and ammo with an NPC crew that will be simulated. Refueling, having to wait for gear to be transported from where it was to where it's needed, waiting for large ships to have its cargo swapped, both to and from the holds. They're also expecting the ship claim timers to go up, and they don't feel that moving and carting the gear around all the time itself will be an enjoyable gaming experience. They said that yes, all of this stuff makes the game more believable, but their fear was that the game would get lost in the time needed to prepare for the game, if that makes any sense. They ended by saying that Star Citizen is currently fun in moderation, but they wish that they would value gameplay instead of sacrificing it for all of the other stuff. Nightfang said that in general, space games have a deliberate slowness to them, but they agreed with the OP that that slowness need not come from performing mundane tasks, but from the actual space of space. Katie said that they enjoyed all the time playing equally, and that's dogfighting or just stuck in an elevator waiting. The conversation went somewhat off topic, where some people took the same approach as Katie, saying that they don't care what they're doing as long as they're in Star Citizen. Some people said that if they only had 2 hours to play every other night, would they want to spend it all micromanaging their inventory, their loadout, and planning for the next week, when they could actually just go do something? I somewhat agree that there is this aspect in many MMOs where you need to plan to execute. That can be seen as gameplay itself, but I think there should always need to be something that a player can do quickly if they have limited time. Something like getting into a prospector, doing some mining, collecting some ore, and then dropping it off to be refined, thus making a profit. Something you can pound out in an hour or two. If I play for 1 hour 5 days a week, I don't think that spending an entire day preparing a ship, spending an entire day messing with the inventory, a day to refuel and rearm would be compelling, which is why it's important to have these smaller, more casual game loops available with the other ones. This is where Theaters of War and Arena Commander might really shine, giving those who have only an hour or two here or there something to enjoy between the times where they do have those days to invest with their orkmates. Comment your comments in the comments. Do you think that Star Citizen will become a series of time sinks that will eventually reduce your enjoyment? Or is this just part of what you're waiting for? A reality time simulator? How much time do you feel you have to invest in the game each week? Next, Mad Duncan asked if the community felt that CIG might be holding back on Squadron to be released in 3 or 6 months after Starfield to maximize on its hype of the space game genre. They jokingly said that they are worried that it won't be released until after they're retired, or that they will need to bequeath their account to their children as part of their will. Both funny and ironic that I, as an original backer, never expected to play Squadron 42 when I was retired. But I will. And also ironic that I know of no fewer than 4 people who have since passed waiting to play it, leaving their accounts with their children. So yeah, it's a funny joke, but not really a funny joke, right? Cameral is back and said that the OP shouldn't worry at all because Squadron 42 would be released in 2016 according to a CIG video that they found doing some research. Dudefest did a double down and said not to worry because according to the 2014 CitizenCon keynote that it would release no later than mid-2015, which is just around the corner. And then Coldy HU said that they were all wrong and that there was no need to panic at all because according to the Kickstarter documentation that they found during a quick search, it would release late in 2014. So there was absolutely no cause for the OP's concern. I highlighted this thread because everyone sees Spectrum as a salty shit show, but the thread actually made me laugh. Was there any constructive discussion to address the OP's concern? No, not at all. But at least it highlighted to the OP that the entire community shares their concern, and we are all confused, and we are all waiting, and we are all somehow similarly worried. Comment in the comments. When do you expect Squadron to be released, and do you think that CIG would actually have the balls to hold it back to be better for business? Do you think it would be better to launch before Starfield, or do you believe that Chris might feel it would be better to release after? The final post for this week's installment was on topic and more serious. Shadowwalker79 said that based on what they see in the progress tracker and the updates, that they believe that we are still many years from seeing a release of Squadron 42. They noted the knock-on effect that this would have for the rest of the project to include other installments and the development of the PU as well. They ended by saying that the abysmally slow progress on Squadron seems to be causing the PU to also suffer the same fate, and they seem to be asking if the current push to finish Squadron, then the PU, was good, or if more effort should be made on the PU first to ensure that it progresses as well. RSW came back with a fantastic post, which I will summarize, but I'll also remind you that it's linked. They observed that so much time was wasted doing R&D shiny things to show on ATV each week, and they estimated that 90% of them were scrapped. Those numbers, in my opinion, are right out to lunch. And the R&D, one could argue, is why the company actually has $500 million to date. I'm not an idiot though. There's a difference between making a game and making marketing crap to make money. So I do understand their point. RSW continued by saying that the lack of updated content for Squadron to them is an indication that it's not ready, and it might be some time yet. They also said that indicators in the PU are very concerning, such as AI that don't work, random bugs that still kill players. They did say that they know that many might say that the PU is buggy because everyone's working on finishing Squadron, but I do see their point. Can we not expect that if one was finished or close to it, that the other would at least be able to have a level of polish above what we currently have? Yes, we do have improvements in the quality of life and crashes in the 30Ks. And yes, the solo game isn't based on the server tech, but to their point, can we look at one to see where the other might be? They did go off on a little tangent at the end that could all be summarized that the company needs to work harder to keep the community in the loop and informed. That the company needs to make fewer mistakes because being out of touch so badly with the community, and then they cited Luminaria, no news from Chris, the balance BS, the ship concept confusion, and even the Cuddy Steel. Burn enough bridges and the community will eventually stop funding the project is how they end it. But I'm going to say, if CIG looks at the funding and then they look at what we're saying, that's conflicting information, where what the community is saying is that we're going to stop unless you get better. But then you go look at the money, and which are you going to believe? The real numbers or the backers, right? Numbers don't lie. Anyways, Kenji then said that the delays may be directly attributed to Chris being a perfectionist, and that "I will release it when it's ready" approach is the actual delay. I somewhat agree, but I also accept that releasing unfinished shit is not an option. But there could have been maybe a hard line of features as part of an initial launch, with some like-to-haves being put into a future box. We all know that as the scope grows, if the progress is being made at the same rate that the yardstick is being moved, we'll never get finished. There has been lots of progress, but we've been at about 30% complete for 5 years. Please let me know if you're happy with not knowing about the release timelines. Every time Chris sets a deadline, it came and went, so I understand why they've stopped doing them. But is that crazy? So we come to the end. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. I hope that you enjoy this and the others in the series. They do take a little bit of time to put together, so please tell others about the series. We all expect CIG to get back to a more normal schedule, and with that, you'll see the return of my regular reporting. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.